Am I the asshole for canceling plans with my friend after finding out he put a tracker on my phone? I, 21F, and my friend, 21M, are home from college. We went to different high schools but we were friends through clubs and extracurricular. We had a friend group senior year that we both hung out in. The friend group died off but we have stayed somewhat in touch and see each other a few times each summer for lunch to catch up. Anyways, we were on the phone about 2 weeks ago and made plans to chill, grab pizza, and listen to music. We were Snapchatting old friends and he snapped some of them back through my phone. I don't think much of handing my phone to him to reply. I mean, I've even friends with this guy for a while now and we've hung out, so we're like decently close, I guess. The other day he texted joking about how I need a better sleep schedule since I was up till 4 a.m. I laughed it off and said yay, I was up till 6 a.m. studying. I asked how he knew and he just laughed it off and made a joke. I didn't think much of it cause I know Instagram and Snap sometimes shows when you were last active on the app. Anyways, today, he texted me joking that I need to charge my phone. I was at 2% and was weirded out by how he knew that. Again, he just laughed it off and made a joke. I was like, what the fuck, did you share my location or find my iPhone? He said no and said he'd explain tonight, we had plans to grab food. I was kinda weirded out but he kept joking. I check Find My iPhone and locations and nothing is shared. I then realize that on Snap he had ghost mode, disable, and shared my location with himself. When I asked him about it he denied it and didn't admit to it till I sent a screenshot. I expressed how weird that was but he was joking though it and saying see you later. I've been ignoring his calls and texts since, and he's spamming apologies. I was talking to one of my friends, 21F, our mutual friend, and she was weirded out at first but laughed it off. She said it's weird but he was clearly just messing around and I'm being a major asshole for blowing it up when it was totally harmless. And that I was being an asshole for ignoring his calls and apology texts because he clearly didn't mean it since he's panicking that I'm mad. I'm not necessarily mad, I am just totally weirded out and feel like my privacy has been invaded the past 2 weeks. IDK how to feel. Block him and never speak to him again. That's very wrong and creepy. Not the asshole. No, not the asshole. Stalking is never something you should blow off and it is not harmless. You need better friends. WTF? I'd be so freaked out. That's creepy and a huge invasion of your privacy. I would stay very far away from him. Not the asshole. You know he wasn't planning to tell you, right? You weren't supposed to find out. He was planning to track you until you had to replace your phone, and then get a hold of your new one to put a tracker in that. Not the asshole. He's not your friend, and you need to distance yourself for your own safety. Not the asshole. I'd feel completely creeped out and stalked. Joke, my ample cheeks. I hope your phone notifies you when he decides to hide an AirTag in your car. Unless sharing your location shares your battery life, that's not all he did to your phone. Am I the asshole for getting a kitten when my roommate is highly allergic to cats? So I, 22M, have always had an almost obsessive desire for a cat. I used to and to a lesser extent still do watch hours worth of cat training, tips, and tricks for certain situations and reviews of cat products a week. But I never could fulfill that childhood dream, as my mother was completely against pets of any kind. So there's no surprise that when I finally moved out, I immediately wished to adopt my very own cat. I talked to my roommates about my desire pretty early on, and my best friend, 22M, was immediately on board. But the second one, 33M, said there was no way for me to get one, as he was allergic to cats. That sucked, but I would never be petty enough to hold that against him, as it was a totally fair demand as I never made the wish for a cat be known before he signed the lease. A year goes by, and this man, 33M, has well and truly been carved into the annals of the most horrid roommate ever. So it was with no uncertain terms a relief when he told us he would be moved out by the end of the month. I asked a couple of times to clarify the date but all he said was, "You will never see me again before the start of July." So I started looking for kittens, which is not an easy thing lately, as the prices for kittens skyrocketed and it's damn near impossible to get one that's not ridiculously expensive, and I'm talking upwards of $1,000 or more. After a lot of weird cat owners, I finally found probably the cutest thing to ever exist, and all for the price of $100. I started buying the necessities, the scratch post, kitty litters, a big 10 kilograms bag of cat food the seller recommended, and probably an unhealthy amount of toys. The kitten would be ready for pickup on the 4th of July, which fitted perfectly when the roommate, 33M, would move out. I think he noticed all the supplies I bought because he confronted me about it earlier today and scolded me about how inconsiderate I was to get a cat when he was allergic, that I hadn't consulted him, etc., etc. I was monumentally confused, so all I said was, "How is me adopting a kitten any of your business when you will have moved out long before the kitten gets here?" He blew up, got pissy, and said that he wasn't moving out before the end of July instead, and that I just had to cancel my deal with the sweet lady who I bought the kitten from. I told him in no uncertain terms to kindly piss off and that I can't bend over backward for his whimsy planning. I talked to my landlord, and he is fully on my side of this, but there's that little voice in my head asking me, am I the asshole? Edit. I see that a lot of you are under the impression that I live in the States, which I must correct you that I don't. Most cats found in shelters here are from wild colonies or from horrible homes, and therefore there are extremely stringent requirements and vetting to adopt a cat here. I literally paid $100, which is cheaper than what the seller has spent on the kitten in the past 12 weeks in food, vaccine, and so forth. There is also no overabundance of free cats, and there's a huge buyer's market for them, where they are indeed overpriced but they are in general really expensive. Not the asshole, you planned this out so that you would have the kitten after he moved. He flipped the script on you at practically the last minute, which is not fair. So, he can either stock up on meds, or move out like he was supposed to. Not the asshole, but for the cat's safety please do not bring it into the house until this housemate is gone. YWBTA if you don't give us a picture of the kitten when you get them. Not the asshole for how you handled the situation but keep the cat away from your roommate. Also, thousands of dollars for a kitty? Not the asshole I expected this to go a whole other way, but he said he would be out before the cat was coming. Side note: shelters are literally overflowing with kittens. They are euthanized in droves. Adopt, don't shop. I wanted a cat since I was small. My mum told me she was allergic. She wasn't, she just doesn't like cats. About 8 years ago my husband and I were walking into our home when this small void followed us in, so now we have Chairman Meow. Am I the asshole for telling my brother's wife to F off and kicking her out my house? I, 26 male, recently just moved back home after graduating from college and successfully building my career in that state. When I came back I found out I had a child by my ex that I broke things off with before leaving for college. I'm becoming active in my son's life for the time I missed and I told my family about the situation. Of course they were happy for me but urged me to get a paternity test just to be sure I wasn't taking care of someone else's kid. This will be important for context later. Yesterday was my 26th birthday, and I decided to have a cookout with some family members and invited my son and her mother. Me and her aren't on great terms but it's getting a lot better. I told my family to bring whoever they wanted, and my brother brought her fiancé. I've met her before when my family flew out to visit me for my birthday last year. I always got the sense that she didn't like me for some reason but it was whatever, I didn't really care. Everything was going well. My brother and I grilled up some good food and we played the beanbag toss game with my son and the rest of my family. When chatting with my mother, brother and his fiancé, my mother told me how happy she was for me that I have a son. Before I could thank her I heard my brother's wife mumble, "If the brat is even yours." I told her to speak the hell up and say it to me instead of hiding under her breath. She seemed shocked at first but then she said, "I said if that brat is even yours. How do we know his mother wasn't hoeing around while you were gone?" She also said my son survived long enough without me and that he doesn't need another crappy parent. I told her to go fuck herself and that she has no right to disrespect me in my home and that she's lucky my brother even saved her from the crack house she came from in the first place. Then I told her to GTFO. She said, turned around and started to leave, then yelled for my brother to come with her. To which he said, and I fucking quote, "Nah. Thanks though. See you at home." As close as me and my brother are, I for sure thought he would have followed her. My brother obviously thought she was in the wrong, but my parents and some of my other family members later told me I was wrong for bringing up her past publicly and that I owed her an apology. I don't see what for, and neither does my brother, the literal husband of this woman. But maybe I'm trippin', am I the asshole? Edit. Just to let everyone know, my son is absolutely my son 100%. The paternity test came back this morning and I'm not even surprised. Seriously, this kid looks exactly like I did when I was his age. He's an amazing kid and I'm excited to be his dad. Just wish I could have been there from the start. Thank you everyone for your feedback and support. Nah. Thanks though. See you at home, laughing my ass off. Fucking got her. She thought she was about to storm out of there with her man and probably talk shit about you the whole way home, and your brother literally said nah to that. Not the asshole. Your brother is a real one. Holy shit lol. Not the asshole. If Sil could be a public jerk, why should it not be addressed in public? She chose the forum. Not the asshole. But I see divorce court in your brother's future. Not the asshole. And I love how the family thinks it's wrong to bring up her past, but that's exactly what she did when referring to your ex and the possibility of cheating. Also, none of them are upset that she called your son a brat? Your parents and family should be pissed at her. If not, then they must agree with her sentiment and they can get bent too. Not the asshole. The speculation that the child is yours is natural, but she went beyond that. She called the mother of your son a hoe and called both of you crappy parents, on top of calling your son a brat. Obviously what you said isn't nice, but it was warranted. W brother 2 LMAO. Not the asshole. Good on you for stepping up to be a part of your child's life even though you don't have a great relationship with his mom. If Sil can't take the heat, she shouldn't dish it. Some people need to learn to keep their mouths shut. What's that saying? Oh yeah. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. They teach that to preschoolers, but I guess that lesson didn't stick in her head. Such a heartless, mean thing to say under any circumstances. Your brother is the MVP of the story. Too often we see them walk out with the significant Otherevan when they know they're in the wrong. Sounds like y'all have a stellar relationship. I hope Sil isn't like this all the time. Sorry for your brother if she is. Am I the asshole for pulling out of a girls' trip late notice to be with my stepkids? I, 42F, married my husband, 43M, 11 years ago. I have 2 stepkids, 16F and 13NB. I am incredibly close to both of them and there aren't enough characters allowed in these posts for me to accurately state how much I love them. My stepkid's mom died tragically and unexpectedly 2 weeks ago due to circumstances that I'm not entirely sure I'm allowed to include in this post. She had her issues no doubt, but for all her faults she loved her kids and did her best with them. Both my stepkids are obviously struggling to cope with the shock of this, and my husband and I are doing all we can to help them process everything. Next weekend would have been their mom's birthday. This is obviously going to be an emotional weekend. The first events without a loved one are always hard. And this one is so close to her death, which just makes it even harder. I had originally planned a girls' trip with some old friends from college for that weekend. Obviously when we were making the arrangements, there was no reason to believe this would have been an issue. The kids would have been with their mom. My husband would have had the house to himself, and I would have had a fun trip with some people I haven't seen in a while. However, a little over a week ago, I made the decision that I needed to back out of the trip to be with the kids. They never asked me to do this, but they both said they were happy I was going to be around for the birthday weekend. I didn't think it would be that big of a deal. This was not a super extravagant trip. It's literally just 2 nights in our old college town together. No one needs to fly or take off work. I offered to still pay for my portion of the Airbnb, which is under my name, and said I would have to transfer some other reservations made under my name to someone else. The group chat got quiet for a while, and then people started railing into me. Apparently some of the activities we were planning have required amounts of people, and with me gone, they'll have to cancel them and scramble to figure out something else to do. I also have worked at most restaurants in our college town during my time there and still have connections that tends to get us discounts, free drinks, etc. And now without me that might not be possible. The consensus seems to be that I'm desperate to take over the mom role, and am screwing over the whole group to play mom with 2 kids that will never be mine. Actual quotes. I told them that I wasn't budging and we could either reschedule or they could do it without me. They refused to reschedule, so I said if no one takes over the Airbnb reservation, I was just canceling it. 2 people in the group chat blocked me and most other people fell silent. One person called and said I'm an asshole for going nuclear, just because people didn't want to accommodate me. I know this is a complicated situation and I feel bad that things couldn't work out like we planned, but my stepkids are more important to me than a trip. I wanted to make this edit to clarify some things and provide some clarifications to things people have asked. 1. I have cancelled the Airbnb. That's just done. 2. A lot of people have asked why I am friends with this group and told me I need to make better friends. This is an old group from college that I go on this trip with every 5 years or so. I do not consider these people to be my main friend group at all. I have a current, better friend group. 3. The reason I still have a lot of connections at some of these restaurants is that I didn't just get to know employees, I got to know the owners who I am still connected with. At some of these restaurants and bars, I held higher up positions than just a server or bartender. I was running promotions and event planning for these places. 4. I misspoke when I said it was a complicated situation. As you could imagine, I've been a bit worn out these past few weeks. By complicated situation, I more so meant that it is a heavy situation given the gravity of kids losing a parent, or the type of situation I often hear as, above Reddit's pay grade. Not the asshole. Damn, you ran with some fucked up girls in college. From the info you're clearly not the asshole, but you kept terrible company. They all sound straight up awful. Not the asshole. But get new friends that don't suck. Not the asshole. Your friends sound awful and heartless. You are doing the right thing, your stepkids are lucky to have such an amazing bonus mom. Heart. Not the asshole. But sounds like your friends were just there to take advantage of the benefits your presence provided. No, you're not the asshole, but maybe think about finding some new friends. Not the asshole. Grieving children come first. I would reconsider those friendships far before feeling bad over a girls' trip.